There's something I want to point to today, and that thing is the voice in your head, the voice in all our heads, because we all have that voice. And we usually mistake this voice to be who we are. And the more we think that we are this voice, the more we suffer. And so I would like to just point you, just so you can see that voice and where it comes from, and how we can just find some space from it. So let me start with like a small example. Imagine you stub your toe at the edge of a furniture. There's a sharp pain that you feel when this happens, like the pain that happens normally when like flesh meets a hard surface. But notice that something else happens immediately after. The mind might start to just spiral. So this layer of the mind creating thoughts is what I am pointing to, and just showing you how this is the root of suffering and how this plays out in so many of our life situations. Hi, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about why we suffer and how to find freedom from this suffering. So pain is a normal part of the human experience. Everyone goes through pain, challenges. Everyone experiences heartbreak, loss, disappointment, things not going our way. It's just part of being human. But something extra usually happens when this pain occurs. Our mind starts to create thoughts around this pain, and these thoughts is what creates suffering. This identification with these thoughts, with this story that the thoughts generates, is what is usually referred to as the false self or the ego. And this ego is usually developed from when we are born. So when we are born, we are given a name, we are assigned a gender. We're born to certain parents and they condition us a certain way. We are born in certain society, and the society conditions us based on the culture. And as we grow, all of this starts to accumulate around a sense of me. And this sense of me is the ego. And this ego usually it creates stories. It generates thoughts. It's a thinking mind. And every time we identify with it, it feels like us. It feels like this is me. That whatever situation that is happening to. So say, for example, right now I asked you, who are you? You most likely tell me, well, my name is this. I was born in this country. I come from this city or state. I went to this university. I work this job. I have these friends. I have these parents. I like this. I like that. You have all these things that feel like you, right? And when things happen to you, that me that you just described yourself as is who feels like these things are happening to. And so when situations happen, say for example, when you hit your toe on something, pain immediately happens, which is normal. It's part of being human. But you see, the ego, the mind, immediately generates a story. And that story is usually negative. And then we just immediately just puts us in a state of, there's the physical pain, but then there's the emotional or mental pain or this suffering. That's the easiest word I can use to describe it. Or when, say for example, somebody does something to us, yes, there's the pain of that hurt. Maybe somebody says something hurtful. There's the pain that we experience. But then immediately you see that the mind can think about that situation for days, and then it starts to generate resentment. It starts to complain about the person, start to create conflict around that situation. But all of this is happening in the mind, and all of this is that suffering. And it's important that we see this. And it's important that we see that that's not who we truly are. So there's an example that I came to me, and it kind of describes this perfectly. It's like the ego is like a plastic bag flying in open space. And then this plastic bag thinks that it is the one doing the flying. And so because it thinks it's the one doing the flying, maybe when the wind is moving the bag left and right, up and down, the bag just feels like this should not be happening to me. And the ego is the bag, and you are the space that the bag is flying in. And realizing this is where the shift happens. And then when you were able to see that, when situations happen, and then you just notice the story your mind is adding to that situation, that's how we find freedom. That's how we find peace. Whenever somebody does something that I perceive as hurtful, and then I start to have conflict with them in my mind, or I start to put myself as a victim, I see myself as a victim, and I see them as someone who is causing harm to me. I label them as that. That's the ego. That's my ego. And then the practice is but being able to see it. The more we see it, the less and less the hold the ego has on us, and the less and less we suffer, and the more we just become more of who we truly are, more we embody the space, the presence that we are. So my takeaway for you today is, whenever a situation happens, that is challenging, and you see yourself suffering, whatever situation it is, you just find out, okay, right now I'm not at peace and I'm suffering. Just the first step is just take a deep breath. Just pause and take a deep breath. And next, just watch what your mind is doing, what your mind is saying in regards to this situation. Don't push it away. Don't agree with it. Just watch. Just see that voice. And then as you're watching, be aware of what it is that is aware of this voice. What is it that is aware that this voice is playing in my mind? And then rest in that. That awareness is you. So if any of this resonates, I would really love to hear from you. So please, you can drop me comments below, or you can send me an email. And if you would like to go deeper in this practice, I work with people one-on-one, and I'll put a link to book some time with me in the description box. Thank you so much for being here with me now. And I'm sending you so much love on your journey. See you next time.